is the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast, brought to you by Cisco. Cisco is here to help set you up for success by delivering high-quality foods, products, and services for your restaurant. Recording live to digital from the NCF&B studios in downtown Raleigh. Join us as we lead you into the kitchen, inside the bottle, and into the minds of the food and beverage industry.
And now, walking into the restaurant with a clipboard and a badge,
it's Max Trujillo and Matthew Weiss.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss. And today, we are extremely honored to have this chef in studio. This gentleman is a James Beard finalist for Best Chef Southeast. Need I say more? No, but I will. Also, a father of 6, and the executive chef of the Hackney in Washington, North Carolina, Mr. Jamie Davis. Welcome.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
It's good to have you on the show, man. It's
Yeah, we've talked around this. We've known you forever. And why haven't we had you on the show? It just took you a James Beard finalist to get on.
Yeah, that's cool though. Everything happens when it's supposed to.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of star fuckers. That's all it is, So, no, but it is awesome. For those that don't know where Washington is in relation to Raleigh, where we're recording, how far away is this?
Took me an hour, 47 minutes. Nobody really knows where Washington is, so I always tell them where ECU is. We're like 20 minutes from ECU.
Oh, yeah.
20, 25 minutes from Greenville, North Carolina. So.
And why for a lot of people there, I know Little Washington, which is the same. Why is it known as Little Washington?
Well, actually, it's the original Washington.
Okay.
But it's so small, man.
Yeah.
It's like a Hallmark movie. That's how Little Washington is.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. Everybody went to school or church or grew up together.
Okay.
So it's super small.
But you didn't grow up there, right?
No, sir. I grew up in Jacksonville, North Carolina, but my dad was a Marine, so I moved all around.
Okay.
I've heard really good things about Jacksonville, and I haven't been, but I feel like, am I correct in saying this? I heard that there's a study that Jacksonville, North Carolina has something like the highest average income or so?
Yes, because especially with young Americans, because of the military base. It's the biggest Marine base on the East Coast. So it brings a ton of people there.
Yeah.
So
I've been there when I was working for Heaven Hill. They had a really good bar that would buy a lot of Elijah Craig, and they were doing a private barrel. It was just like a fun place to get out to the coast.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, this is so random, but I remember driving back because I would do a day trip out there. And the day we came back was when our first article from the NNO got released. And then my phone started blowing up because we got a lot of notoriety that day. But
that was, didn't we record G. Patel of Social House as
that was the article that they wrote about. They were in studio for
at my house.
Yeah.
When we first started. Yeah. Things have changed. Now you're in these beautiful studios here.
yeah.
And speaking of blowing up, how much did your phone blow up when you got the first the nomination?
Man, I stopped looking. When it first went off, man, I was in the middle of Food Line just running some errands. And I just looked at the website. I was like, I guess it didn't come out. Next thing you know, it started blowing up. I was like, oh, something happened. Yeah, it was blowing up a lot.
Yeah.
Did you have an inkling? Had you received any information or anything from the JBF before?
No, sir. Nothing at all.
Yeah, so I mean, you were hopeful just because you're a chef and you put out some good work, and you're like, it would be nice to be, acknowledged.
Yeah. And I think for me, a lot of people say, oh, are you cooking for a James Beard? I was like, no, I'm not cooking for a James Beard, but I'm cooking more to get recognized for the whole area, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's Eastern North Carolina. People don't think of going
Fine food in Eastern North Carolina. Yeah.
They think Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, things of that nature.
Asheville.
Yeah. They don't think of anywhere east like that.
Yeah. How did you end up? I mean, obviously you grew up in Jacksonville. How did you get to the Hackney? And
Funny story. So it's a young lady that runs a lot of things downtown. She's a part of the committee board or something like that.
In
Washington.
In Washington.
So I have a sister-in-law lives there. And she was talking to my sister-in-law. They were hanging out one night, and they were like, it's a new restaurant opening up looking for a chef. She's like, well, my brother-in-law is a chef. Talked to my wife. My wife forwarded her my resume without me even knowing. And one day I'm just on the line banging it out. I get a random phone call. So I'm like, they called like twice. I was like, might be important. So I answered. It's somebody from England just talking to me. And I was like, yeah, this shit's not real.
Yeah.
I've met that guy, but we'll get into him in a bit.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is not real. So I was like, whatever, kind of blew it off. Then he called me back. He was like, no, I'm serious. So, we talked for a few months, went down there, did like a 5-course tasting at their house. And the rest is history, as they say.
Where were you on the line at?
I was the executive chef of Duck's Grill and Bar in Jacksonville, North Carolina at the time. Yeah.
So you had grown up in Jacksonville and come back there, or had you left? Or
I left, went to Savannah. Then me and my wife now moved to Maryland.
Okay.
And my daughter's the oldest. One time she came up there and we were just realizing how much we were missing. And so I made a joke to one of my old bosses at Smithfield's Chicken and Barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was no chef jobs in Eastern North Carolina at the time. I was like, look, man, give me X amount of dollars, I'm coming back. The next day he was like, I got it. And I was like, oh, shit. Then my wife, Baker, she worked for some really good people up north. And a bakery was opening back up in a new location. And she was the lady's first ever employee. She was like, I really could use some decent help or some really good help. My wife's like, oh, shit, this is for real. So it was meant for us to come back.
Yeah.
So we came back. She helped her do that. I worked at Smithfield's for like a year.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But like you worked there and you probably did awesome there coming from the military background, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Oh, man, I had a ball. And plus, man, I'm not going to lie. They were throwing so much money at me. One day, me and my wife were just driving. I'm like, I'm done cooking. I'm not even going back. I'm going to fry chicken the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she just like, are you serious? She like all the knives you bought, all the books, all the time you put in. I was like, well, if I can find a gig, we'll see what happens. Took a sous chef position at Duck's.
Mm-hmm.
About 5 or 6 months later, I was executive chef. So,
That's how it
it's
goes.
hard to keep someone out if that's what they're into,
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, I assume frying some chicken and all that also sounds pretty fun too. Like that's not like a bad thing. It's just obviously you probably were capable of doing far more than just that.
I could just imagine, sorry to interject, that like people would be like, I don't usually like Smithfield chicken and waffle, but this one in Jacksonville, North Carolina, they have got some good fried chicken.
Yeah, man. So, it was a ball working for them. I love that company, honestly.
That's if you watch Beef, that show on Netflix.
Oh, I've watched a
Steven
couple
Yeun.
episodes. Yeah,
There's like a scene where he says like the younger brother's like, yeah, my older brother, he's like obsessed with this one Burger King that's in like Alhambra, which is like 2 hours away from where they live. And he's like, but he's convinced that the chicken sandwich at that Burger King is better than any other chicken sandwich at any Burger King.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you see later on, he's the one guy's saying this to Ali Wong, and then she's like bumming out, and she just decides like some soul searching. The next time you see her, she's at that Burger King having
in
a
Alhambra.
sandwich. Yeah, it's like, all right. But you got to think like someone. It's not always the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I've mentioned, I think I mentioned before on the podcast, but I went to the drive-through line at my favorite fast food place, Taco Bell, and the woman was so sweet and so nice. And I was with my daughters, and we were trying to figure out what it was. And there was a little chaos on our side of the interaction of the drive-through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry for putting up with this. She's like, no, honey, you take your time. It's all okay. And I'm like, okay. And then she was like suggesting things, and it didn't feel like she was selling me. She's just like, "Are you sure that's all you want? Maybe we get you a couple of blah blah blahs." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that." At the end, when we like went up to the front, I said, "Hey, by the way, I come to Taco Bell pretty often. The service isn't necessarily great, but this was exceptional, and I really appreciate it. I just wanted you to know that." And she burst into tears.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh my God, thank you." And then she's like, I can't. And she just like walked away. And another employee came up. This other woman, she's like, you have no idea how rough of a day she's having, like something in her personal life.
Yeah.
And she needed that so bad. She's like, thank you for doing that. And I go, well, she gave me amazing service. So the fact that she was having a rough day and she pulled through to do that speaks volumes of her.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, that's amazing. And now I see that woman because, again, I go to Taco Bell pretty often. I got a Mexican pizza. What are you going to do? But now I go, and sometimes it's like right after I pick up the girls from school and I bring my little shitty dog with me, Hershey, this little Boston Terrier, and he'll be like looking in through the window like because he smells all like it's fried chicken, it's KFC Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And she'll see, she's like, does he want a chicken nugget? I'm like, yes, of course he wants a chicken nugget.
Yeah.
She's like, okay. And so she always like hands me a little chicken nugget to give to that little fucker. And then he shits all over the house. So maybe I blame him, but or blame her. Anyways, it like that's the cool part is like maybe don't for those thinking about it when you go to a fast food place, acknowledge that even though it is a massive business and it feels cold and unfeeling, there are humans inside, and sometimes there's a yet to be named semi-finalist of the James Beard Awards working back there frying your chicken. So like treat everybody with a little bit of respect, I guess, to learn from that.
Heck yeah. Yeah. There's still a story to be told there in the food and beverage world. Well, speaking of stories, now you're at Washington, you're at the Hackney. It's a community. You've made a commitment to this community. So I want to hear more about what you do there, but let's just pause for a quick word from our proud title sponsor, Cisco.
Yeah, because Cisco isn't just our sponsor. They also partner with local ranchers, growers, and producers than any other distributor in the industry. That's why their commitment to community is unmatched.
It isn't enough for them to be the global leader in food service. Cisco's mission also has heart, a heart for food, a heart for service like the woman at Taco Bell, and a heart for community.
And how do they follow through? Well, supporting farm-to-table initiatives to deliver the very best local products, partnering with food banks and nonprofits to help underserved communities around the world and here at home. Fighting hunger, because isn't that what food service is all about?
Visit Sysco.com, that's SYSCO.com, to learn more about their heartfelt commitment to community.
Cisco, at the heart of food and service. All right, let's take a quick break to talk about our fantastic new sponsor from North Carolina. We're talking about Got to Be NC.
Yeah, Got to Be NC. If it's grown, raised, caught, or made in North Carolina, it's got to be NC. Look for the GTB NC signs to shop for what's truly local.
For those that listen to this show that are on the inside, you might be a chef, a restaurant owner, you make a consumer packaged good, a farmer. Well, become a member of Got to Be NC, because becoming a member not only helps with public events such as trade shows, farmers markets, but we also do these educational trips like the chef field trip to Tidewater Grain, for instance, or going to the NCRLA Chef Showdown or the NRA Food Show in Chicago. Got to Be NC supports local producers and purveyors and really helps bring them all together to support local.
Go to their website, Got to Be NC, GOTTOBENC.com.
If it's got to be, it's got to be NC. We met at the Charleston Wine and Food maybe 2 years ago, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We were having a good time. I think Jake Wood was in our crew at that moment. Yeah. And we were all just having a ball out at some outdoor food festival. By the way, the food that night was crazy. I remember, who was the gal that was dancing while she was making it was like some like Asian like chicken satays or whatever. I had cool video of her and she was just feeling it.
Yeah.
The whole time she was just she had headphones on, or I think there was just live music, but she's going at it blah, blah, blah. And it's again, thinking about the hospitality, thinking about the human effect of things. That food was even better tasting because not only was she making it with love, but she was having a good time, and everybody was having a good time. And when she's like, "Oh, here you go," and then boom, 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 and then hands it over, I'm like, "Oh, I want to eat this." It just felt like it feels right, Yeah. Food is made with love. We just got back from Beaufort Wine and Food, which was also fantastic, and I highly encourage everybody to go to Beaufort Wine and Food next year when it comes around. I think it'll be their 20-year anniversary, so it's gonna go off, no doubt. But we've heard a lot about. It's not an exact correlation, but we've heard from other people that have been, say, gotten on Top Chef or been nominated. We say, how do you get noticed? How do you do these things? Do you think going to Charleston Wine and Food or all these other things plays a part in helping you be seen in that more national level?
I think you kind of have to do it nowadays. You have to be visible. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to say it's everything, but it's a lot of it. People want to see you. and you want to be able to reach out and touch people. Like, it's cool we see each other on Instagram and Facebook.
Sure.
But, like, that's the first time we just sat there, had a drink, and just talked.
Yeah.
So I think it's big. I think it's really huge. And I encourage everybody, if they can, do it. Not even just for notary, just like actually fellowship with your fellow cooks and kitchen personnel and just fellow people that you always admire from afar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important.
Okay, so I know that there are probably young line cooks or even chefs that are listening to this, and or even like bartenders or so, right? And they're like, "Yeah, sounds great, but I can't spend $2,800 for a ticket for a 3-day weekend festival." How do you? By the way, neither can we. Like, I don't want to speak for you, Jamie, but like Matt and I tend to rely on the comfort, the generosity of strangers.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
To get to these places more than often, but so like. I'll ask you. I mean, I'll have the way we do it sometimes is like we ask, how can we help? How can we be a part of this? Can we do something for you? A little quid pro quo or whatever. And can we cover it? Can we interview some people? Can we do the thing that we do? And I would assume that like for you, like you cook. So is that like sometimes a way to break into these events?
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to donate some time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to go in a hole. But I think for the big picture. Like, yeah, I'm going to go and do this for free. I'm going to come out of my pocket because I know in the long run it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't want to do that anymore. These younger generations, I feel like they want something in return. But sometimes just give me the platform. I'll do the rest.
And it's like you said, the camaraderie and getting to know, and who knows what you're going to learn from, let's say you just donate and be like, oh, Chef Jamie Davis is going, hey, Chef, you need a sous chef or you need somebody to help cook while you're down there at Charleston, I'll be happy to go, help me out with a bed or a sleep, place to lay my head. So, that's invaluable.
And like for me, I just because I like a good time. I like to just go out. For me, it could just begin and end with just going to the event. It's not like I'm like, let's go to this event because maybe I'll get seen by the James Beard Awards or Food and Wine, whatever. Like, if that happens, that's fine. That's awesome. But it's like, no, I mean, when you and I, when we first started the show, we went to Charleston for BevCon.
Yeah.
I was like, I still think about that.
That was amazing.
It was the best beverage festival that I've ever been to.
Nice.
And I mean, like, I still like pull from stories of things that happened that time. I think it was my first time in Charleston as well. So like, it was all kind of new to me, but it felt so good. And it's like, nothing could have like done anything for our business per se, but it was just us getting involved in doing it. Now, granted, I think a lot of good things did come from our business because we went out there, we made great connections, and a lot did come with it. And it's also what you do with your time while you're there is kind of the next level. But if you're just like, yeah, I'll make a bunch of chicken satay for 4,000 people, and it's going to be a lot of work, but have fun doing it, and then enjoy yourself while you're there, and anything else that comes, that's gravy.
Yeah.
But
What do you think this year? Do you know how you got noticed or why you got nominated this year? Why it came to fruition?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just think it's probably the right time. I really don't know, man. I know I had.
Did you change? Did you have a big menu change this year? Did you do something with social outreach that was really on a different level, or
like invite writers to your place or invite anybody around? I mean, don't get me wrong. You can cook and you're awesome, but a lot of people can cook and are awesome, and they're like, no one's ever going to find me in Washington, North Carolina. Yeah. So it's like, it's not why you, but it is kind of like, well, why you? Yeah. Over a lot of great chefs that are out there too,
I think we had a big crew shift. We went from a larger crew to a smaller crew.
Okay.
And I think I was just determined a little bit more this year. I don't know, man. I'm kind of that person with the chip on the shoulder, like, okay, it's 3 of us. I'm about to rock and roll.
Yeah.
But also I think it's the Ricky Moores that reached out and like, hey, you want to come do this dinner with me in New York?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care if I got paid, if I didn't get paid. I was going.
Yep.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I wanted you to tell this anecdotal story. I saw it in your social and I thought it was so beautiful when I was reading it. But maybe you can talk to a little bit more about I guess back in 2011 or 2021, post like in the throes of COVID and all, you got COVID.
Yes.
And you were out, and friends of the show, Keith Rhodes and Ricky Moore, essentially filled in for you and like cooked. Could you explain how that happened?
So, I haven't missed a day of work in a long time. Next thing you know, I got COVID. I was out. my wife's like, she just took my phone. I couldn't do anything anyway. So Keith reached out. Keith came in a few nights. One of my longtime employee best friends, little brother / whatever you want to call him, he filled in a few nights. Then Keith came back. Then he came back, and Ricky reached out like, "Hey, if he can't go, I'm there for you."
Amazing.
Then that week I came back, but I would have loved if he would have came. But I finally came back, and it was just cool to see people band together and come help out.
That's community.
That's
right
amazing.
there, man.
Well, most definitely.
So, so when Ricky cooked at the James Beard house in New York, you went with him and did some dishes there? What?
Because I'm aware of that crew because actually Kyle Sutton was there.
That's right.
And he didn't plan to go there. I don't know if you know Kyle, but he's a big foodie.
Okay.
He's been a part of our Bubbles and Brisket, and he's done some events with us. But he's Bestow Baked Goods, makes some really great food. He just happened to be in New York. And while he was there for business, and then he saw something like on Ricky's social media and was like, "I'm cooking at the James Beard house." He's like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
So he was like, "I had to stop everything, get a ticket, and get in there."
I think I met him there. Yeah, it was really cool.
But who else was like in your crew? Because it was all North Carolina chefs, I think.
So it was Ricky, of course, Keith Rhodes, Greg Collier, myself, Oscar Davis, and Ashley Ashanti.
Nice.
Wow. And we went up there and it was a ball, man.
What'd you make?
So it was more like family style.
Okay.
Of course, like Ricky had all the proteins pretty much, but what did I do? I did a collard green salad, did succotash. What else? I did something else. I did like 3 dishes. I can't remember the third dish I did.
Well, and the kitchen's notoriously tiny, right?
Well, this one was at...
or was this at the new event?
The new space they have, the JBF platform.
Okay.
At like Pier 57. So it was pretty cool, but it wasn't too big.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. I had one of my best nights ever there when I did a dinner when I was working for BLT Restaurants, and we did. I brought in Celia Welch, who made Scarecrow. She makes a lot of wines in Napa Valley, but that was she had just gotten a 100 point, and so we poured Scarecrow as the final dish of the evening. Awesome. That was fun. That is like when you cook at that place, you feel like you've arrived on some level. I will say, despite what anybody thinks about JBF, good or bad. Anyway, so tell us about the Hackney. Like, what do people? Why should people go there? What should they expect when they go there from out of the area?
Something that you think you're not going to find in a small town, you're going to find it there. You walk in, it's all locally made furniture, beautiful, beautiful restaurant in a 100-year-old building, some of the best wine around, some very good cocktails, but a menu that just reflects on pretty much how we're feeling that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have the freedom to change it up, and it's also what the farmers have, what the beef purveyors have, what the fishermen and fisherwomen have. So that's a good thing.
Are you writing a is it a new menu every day?
I'm not going to say every day,
okay.
But like today, like they don't even know yet, but if I get back, if I can make the farm in town, we're going to change a couple things.
Okay.
You know?
So what are some of your, like, are there signature dishes or sets that people are like, oh, chef, you made this, I need it again?
It's always something in grits. So we always try to keep something in grits. Right now, it's soft shell and grits.
Okay.
Before that, it's like catfish.
Yeah, because we're right on the cusp of crab season, or it's already started?
Oh, no. Soft shell's already started.
Yeah, already started.
Yeah.
And then blue crab. We had some at Beaufort.
Yeah.
And then blue crab season starts in a few weeks, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
by the way, and I'm saying it on the pod, so it's mine now. No one can take this from me. And we should do this at a time. But I had this conversation at the bar with, that might have been Kevin Ruiz. And I was thinking,
shout out Kevin.
Yeah. Oh, we don't need to shout him out. He's always he's around us at all times. No, we love Kevin to death. But wouldn't it be cool, like you're talking about in your kitchen, like how you got it set up, and whenever you watch a food show, they talk about like, well, chefs, this is what we're going to cook today, you know, and they're like, your protein is X, Y, and Z, and it's like, this is what you got. You got 5 minutes or 3 hours or whatever it is. It's like a specific task, but there's something that I find that I love every time I've worked with a new chef or I go in a new kitchen and I see what the chef's process is. Would it be a cool show to watch a chef build their menu like for the long haul and for the whole menu, right? Like you're making 25 possible, menu items with appetizers and desserts and all that added in. But like I assume that you're probably there's certain things for longevity, like you just said, grits. So you're going to make a lot of grits pretty often, but then you're probably pickling something over here and you're going to make a sauce over there. And then, of course, you're going to deal with like fresh seafood every day, or you're going to cut meat, for certain things. But watching a chef build the whole motherfucker so that it's like I can make these 18 entrees or whatever with be able to use it this way. And what I find is that there's not one way to do it. And in fact, there's not even like 30 ways to do it. Yeah. There's like kind of limitless ways to do it. But it would be fun to be a fly on the wall, like with our camera crew to come in to say, your kitchen on like maybe you're just about to start a whole new menu. So you're literally like not really keeping much from before and just say, okay, how do we get started? And maybe it just goes over the course of however long it takes. Maybe it takes you 6 days to like get to that point. All that said, could you let us into your process a little bit of like, if you did have to start your menu for spring today, what would be some of the first things you do and kind of walk us through that a little bit?
First thing I would do, like I'm kind of weird, man. I think about it over and over and over and over and over in my head, but I would just call the farmers. Like I call like two different farmers. What do you got? What can I get today?
Yeah.
Do I have to come pick it up? I'll be there in 20 minutes. And then I just start going from there. And I just keep repeating it in my head, and I asked the other two, because I have 2 young cooks with me, never worked in a restaurant before.
Oh, wow.
And I just asked them, and I say, what about this? What about this? They're just like, all right, chef, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But that's just how I do it. Like, okay, the beef lady, she has these fillets she has to get rid of. Not get rid of, she just has to move them. Okay, I can get this, I can get that. I know this works.
Yeah.
And we just start banging it out.
It's like you're solving problems for the farmer while you're solving problems for yourself.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. That's cool. Is the Hackney part of an inn as well, or?
Well, at the beginning it was supposed to be.
Okay.
We're going to do hotel rooms up top.
Yeah.
But I think when COVID hit, we had to just like pivot.
Okay.
So right now we're trying to figure out what to do with upstairs, but we do distill gin also.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Talking to the English gentleman that you were speaking with.
Yeah.
Is it Richard? Wait.
Nick.
Oh, my God, Richard. Nick, I bumped into him. I was actually having drinks with our friend of the podcast, Greg Ewan, the bartenders extraordinaire at Auntie Betty's, and like it's a gin bar typically, and so you all make 1,000 Piers is the name of the
1,000 Piers. Yes.
1,000 Piers is not the Hackneys. I guess it's an independent business, but it is all connected, right?
Yes,
it's all together. But you guys make quite a few different types of gins. There's some barrel rested. There's some flavored. I think there was like a blueberry or
it's a blueberry.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I was there before Greg had opened. And he was cutting ice. That, by the way, too, talk about like if you want to do the same type of series I'm talking about, but do it with a bartender.
Yeah,
he would be a guy because he's making his own ice program. He's doing all of his juices and syrups and like steeping this and aging this and pickling that. Like his process as a bartender is very much like a badass chef.
Yeah.
So it's cool. And in that process, I was hanging out. He's making us some very weird cocktails that totally suit his personality. And at that time, Nick walks in. I don't know him from anybody. Sounds like, he's kind of got like a cool, like old British rock star kind of feel. Like he would have been the manager of the police or something, like back in the day. And he's like, hello, blah, 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 blah. And he's like talking to me. And as we were just kind of bullshitting, he mentions that I see on the label, Little Washington or Washington. I'm like, oh, that's like where the Hackney is. He's like, that's my place. And I go, oh, you know Jamie? He's like, yeah. And then like literally after that meeting, I think you were nominated 2 weeks later. So like this all happened not long ago. And so it was cool. But I said to him back then, we need to get you on the show. Maybe we'll talk gin, but we definitely want to talk to Jamie and like all of this and then go through. But I don't know, maybe speak to us a little bit about the relationship with the distillery and how that connects to the program.
All right. So the owners of the Hackney, Nick and Suzanne, they were married, lived in England for about 25 years. That's where he's from. They met in college, moved back. They lived there. She wanted to come back. They saw a beautiful building. They bought it.
She's an American, right? And
yes.
And he's the Englishman.
Yeah. So she's originally a Hackney.
Oh.
But also Hackney is a borough in London.
Got it.
So when it came back, they were together. Things didn't work out. They divorced.
Yeah.
So he does the gin, she does the restaurant, but they're still partners.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
the university club that we just interviewed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
He let me into that part of the story, and I was like, "Oh, is it rough working with your ex-wife?" He's like, "Actually, we're way better business partners,
Way better.
than like
Yeah.
lovers or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it." Yeah,
It's way better and way smoother. I think now we all know where we all stand.
Right.
You know, it took us like 5 years to figure everything out, but it's like I tell everybody we're like a big dysfunctional family.
yeah.
You know,
That's
it's like
right.
we can argue, but nobody else can come here and argue.
Right. Yeah. That reminds me, just speaking of gin, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our friends for Kevin Barrett and Drew, who
Dram and
created
Draft and all
of
that.
Dram and Draft, who created Moonbird Gin that just won double gold in San Francisco.
Yeah, I think the Goat's spiced rum won gold,
Yeah.
and he was like, "This is pretty awesome," but the gin won double gold, which apparently on the first run, that's the best you can do. The
Yeah.
only way you can get to platinum is if you've won double gold 3 years in a row. So they're on their way.
Yeah,
They can try
which
it.
is amazing for all. Rising tides lifts all boats. So like
Yes.
Durham Distillery, Moonbird, and now your guys' gin. I mean, that's
Thousand Tears, yeah.
Thousand Tears. That's all good things. It's good company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How does that influence your cooking? Like, do you make pairings specifically for certain gin drinks?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I do and I don't because everybody doesn't really drink gin. But like man, I did a dinner with Gray Collier, which was a gin dinner, and yeah, we just rock and rolled. And by the end of the night, everybody was like, "Yeah, we're feeling it."
By the way, what's your drink of choice?
Not gin.
Not.
You know,
That's okay.
No, I think.
Are you a wine guy or beer guy,
Oh, man,
whiskey guy?
I'm a Tito's type of guy.
Tito's type of guy. Okay.
Tito's and Heineken. That's usually my go-to.
Wow.
Simple pleasures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1995 is calling over here. Jesus, what the hell? It's old
pretty
school.
old school, man.
Yeah, some old school drinks over here.
Yeah, man.
I haven't seen a Heineken in I don't know how long. Like,
man.
I just
That's crazy,
it's totally
right?
off my grid. Like, I am not in the algorithm of Heineken.
Oh
Sorry,
man, my
but now
dad
I
drinks
am.
a Heineken, so I just drink Heineken, man.
Yeah.
There you
Makes
go.
it feel like
That's
I
what you're
made
used
it.
to.
Makes it feel like my dad, like I made it. So
Yeah.
you know.
I wanted to talk to you about your dad, actually. So
Yeah,
your
yeah.
dad was in the military.
Yeah, he did 27 and a half years in the Marines.
In the Marines.
Yes.
Did you ever go in the
I
military?
went in the U.S. Army.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's right. You did a tour in Iraq. Is
Yes,
that right?
yes. At 15 months in Southeast Baghdad.
Okay.
Wow.
You must have seen some shit.
A little bit, you know. Like I tell my wife, I'll go back if they wanted me to.
Really?
Yeah. It was kind of cool, man.
Wow.
It was cool, but it wasn't cool. But I think like
Like when were you in Baghdad? At what year? What was the time frame?
we went November 2007.
So wait, would you have been there when they actually got Bin Laden?
No,
That was later. It was
later.
like
Later.
9 or 10. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But like when I know you're saying like it's not obviously war is not cool and all that,
Yeah.
but the quote unquote cool factor is the fact like did you like that like why you were there? Like you liked
Yeah.
why you were
Even-
defending our country or supporting, you know, the local area or whatever. Was that the vibe that I guess that you're
I
getting
think
across?
more than that, it was the brotherhood and the sisterhood. Like we all got to make it home, you know. So it's like I'm going to do whatever you need me to do for us to be successful. Like if you're having a shitty day, you know, your kids aren't talking to you on the phone, I'm gonna try and cheer you up, and vice versa. Things of that nature. Like you, it's like loyalty to each other. It just builds another character that is unheard of.
Yeah.
So I think that was like the cool part for me.
Okay.
There's a movie that I don't expect you to know, but I definitely expect you to know, Matt. Because
no.
it would be in your wheelhouse. It's a Neil Simon play, Biloxi Blues.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. With Matthew Broderick and
Yeah.
Christopher Walken.
Eugene
Are you familiar
Morris
with this?
Jerome.
No,
By any chance?
not at all.
Okay. Yeah. Eugene
Morris Jerome.
Yeah. His opening speech, like his monologue was, back in the day, I was an actor or tried to be an actor.
Okay.
That was my monologue.
I've done that monologue.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
it's like he was talking about World War II, and he's like, you know, as wars go, it was a pretty good war. Like people liked what we were doing, people liked why we were there, and we kind of liked being there. We liked the music, we liked the girls, and we sure as hell liked the camaraderie and the brotherhood, like you said.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel that. And like, spoiler alert for the movie is like, it's not a war movie, it's a boot camp movie.
Okay.
And he does all of this. And I mean, there's some highs and some really, really low lows, but it's his experience of just kind of getting through it. But he started like towards the end because he was young But it's based on Neil Simon, like his real life. And spoiler alert, like the war ends before he even finishes basic training. So he never goes to war. So it's like just him getting ready to go to war.
Yeah.
And that's all that. So like there's not a lot of bloodshed or whatever, anything like that. But watch it. It's a fun feel good movie and it's hilarious.
Well, and it also does show the plight of minorities in their space in the army, as well as he was a Jewish man. So yeah. So did you cook in the army as well?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I ever done since I was 16.
How did you learn to cook?
By fucking up a lot, man.
but why was that your job? Like that was just your role in your house growing up, or
No, man. It started all with Smithfields.
Like that's where you got a job?
Yeah, I got a job, and I was like, this is pretty cool. I was just washing dishes, and one day we were wrestling the boss. He was like a big brother, still is. And I just jumped on his back, and he jumped up, and I was holding the sink, and I almost cut half my thumb off.
Oh, shit.
So I had to get stitches, so I couldn't wash dishes. They're like, you got to go be a cashier if you want to keep your job. So I started being a cashier, learned customer service.
Interesting.
Then after that, they're like, you want to jump on the line? I was like, yeah. Next thing you know, like, soon as I graduated high school, I became a manager, like at 18. So like a 2-store. So that's all I ever did. So I was like, man, Jacksonville's getting real small, real quick. In my early 20s, I was just partying, doing too much. I was like, I got to get out of here. Joined the Army. They're like, what do you want to do? I was like, all I know is restaurants. I'll cook. They were like, cook? They're like, you scored way too high to be a cook. And I was like, I don't know anything else. Nothing else piqued my interest.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to cook. So that's all I did.
That's it.
Yeah.
When you went to Baghdad, did you get to use like local spices and learn some different, or it's just like you're cooking army grade stuff?
No. Well, so we first went there, we weren't cooking yet. So they put us on like a personal security attachment. So you went to go do whatever they told you to do. So we went to a lot of different places. But then we had the chance to cook. And it's like I was on a JCOP. I wasn't on a big FOB. So I was with a whole bunch of Iraqis and a small group of artillery people. So being there, you can do whatever you wanted. So like every weekend I would do surf and turf, like getting lobster tails, crab legs, and steaks. So it was really cool because
Where are you getting lobster tails from in Baghdad?
Man, they got just like the ration room. You just tell them this is what I want. And since we're on these little cobs, nobody's going to tell you no. You can't tell these guys they can't have lobster after going out for 2 days straight.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
But I'm saying, like, where are they physically coming from? Because you're kind of landlocked.
Yeah, you are landlocked, but also they have the big, like a ration room. Mm-hmm. And they got everything because every FOB has a major DFAT. Just like a college, right? They have the major dining room. They have all these little things. We had the same thing.
So they're just flying them in from wherever. Okay, you say I want it, they're going to fly it in for you.
I mean, there are some water sources not that far from there. So, like, you can fish.
Yeah.
I'm not
Still,
fishing.
lobster, though, is cold water, though.
I don't know. Have to check it out.
I mean, I
Is
guess
there
you would go
lobster
up
and
into, like,
dishes to
you're not,
Baghdad?
I guess, theoretically, you're not that far from, like, the Russia at some point.
Well,
going up through.
Nobody cares about farm and table in Iraq.
Right.
You know what I mean? They want their lobster tails. They want their chicken
They're going to
wings.
get their, they're going to get them.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. All right. So that must have been such a cool experience, just getting to do whatever you want to do, and then you make it. And then I'm sure you were a very popular soldier because you fed people.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, it's certain people that you always want to be cool with, and I was one of them.
Yeah.
Just because, like, they said they wanted something. If I can get it, we're going to do it. I didn't care.
That's
like,
cool.
For Thanksgiving, we did the whole traditional spread off of, like, 4 burners. You know what I mean? So we did. It was really cool. It was really cool to push the limits and see what we could get away with.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know if you remember, Matt, but Keely, who's my personal assistant for...
Your butler.
She was my butler.
Yeah.
For those that have been following the show from way back, this is like when we were building Y Hill. Keely was in the Army, and funny, I mean, she might have been there right when you were. I think she was in Afghanistan, though. But she was in the kitchens. That was her role. And that was her whole job. She just was there, like, washing dishes and prepping and kind of just doing whatever. Like, they threw her into it, And she's like, yeah, I mean, I didn't really, at the time, I mean, she was probably 19 or 20 when she was there. Because when I knew her, I think she had just turned 21. But I mean, she was like, I finally got to see part of the world. It's like not the world that I thought I was going to see.
Yeah.
But it still was like a crazy experience for like a girl in a small town that didn't think she was going to do anything other than be in that small town.
Yeah.
So that must have also been a major thing for you, just to kind of have a new perspective on life,
man.
right?
Like, man, we used to ride around. Like, so I was on a personal security detachment. So we were protect this lieutenant colonel. So wherever he wanted to go, he was a part of NATO. So I seen a lot of Iraq that a lot of other people didn't get to go see. But it was beautiful. You know, a lot of beautiful places. Went to the neighborhoods. We used to have dinner with the locals.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see something different. But then also you see people like paying the trash man to dump trash in their yard so they can eat. Or kids playing soccer with rocks and no shoes. So it made me real grateful and appreciative of what I have and what I can provide for my family. So that was the eye opener.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that like? Just to like transition back to you as a chef, and we were talking about Biloxi Blues and like Eugene Morris Jerome being a Jewish man in the army, which is like they tell you growing up as a Jewish person, like, oh, the army is no place for Jewish people, even though there are some history of it. But I have to ask you.
Well, there's the Bear Jew.
Yeah, that's true.
Inglorious Bastards.
There's always some stories.
The Bear Jew is a good Jew. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously there is some history of it, but coming up, you talked about the people who had your back when you had COVID: Ricky Moore, Keith Rhodes, all black chefs. What is that like? Do you feel like that makes a difference? I mean, your camaraderies, your closest companions, what you mentioned, like, is it a plight this day and age still?
Yes. No matter what people want to say, yes, it is.
Like when people come into the Hackney in this fine dining place and then they see, oh, it's a black chef, do you detect that they have a different reaction?
Yes. I mean, before, like, all the James Beard and stuff, like, people walk right by me in, like, the parking lot, hit their alarm, hold their purse, but, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
But then they'll come into Hackney and we're best friends.
Yeah.
I'm the same guy.
You're wearing the chef coat, and all of a sudden, oh, okay, he's approachable. I can approach this guy.
Yeah, and I think at first when we first opened up, they didn't expect that. You know, and I felt like we didn't get a lot of respect because I am a black man.
You're also a big black man. Come on, man. You're a huge guy. Like, you're kind of an intimidating dude just in general. So that could play a factor. Like, no one's scared of me or Matt walking into a room. But
come on, I'm pretty broad-shouldered, man.
He's husky up top, everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, not to make light, but I mean, yeah, that I could see that be the perspective. And then with that, there is a, for lack of a better word, a brotherhood of a lot of, and not even just men, because you even mentioned Ashley Shanti, who was also cooking with you. But there is in North Carolina most definitely a collaboration of black chefs that really help lift each other up, and it's beautiful. And we've spoken about it on the show before, probably not as much as we should, but also, like, I think the way Matt and I think about it, because like, looking at me, you probably don't notice it, but like, I'm part Latino. I'm in these rooms though with like all white people, and they might speak derogatory about Latinos, and I'm like, guys, like, what the fuck, And Matt being Jewish, not everyone always knows or whatever, and it's like you just get like the dumb comment, out there just because. And so, in our perspective, and I don't want to speak for Matt for this, but I think we've discussed this before, is like, by the best way to normalize differences and everybody being, who they are, is to like not make it a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Like, I think Morgan Freeman said it best, like, when you stop referring to me as a black man and just a man, we'll be good.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not going to call you a white man and don't call me a black man. Like, when we just say less about it, then it's like we're just humans existing.
I just hate that it's 2024. We're still saying the first woman, the first black person, the first Hispanic, the first Latino. It's like, come on, man, let's stop that.
I actually think that is more diminishing, whatever, towards advancement of society. Like, we need to stop saying it like, Caitlin Clark was making all these threes. It's like, the first female to blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, she's just a fucking awesome basketball player.
She'll get out there and bust whoever's ass.
Yeah.
That's all it's about.
Yeah.
I think, though, this goes back to like the old the salad bowl versus the mixing bowl, right? Like way back when, like, everyone just molds into a mixing pot versus a salad bowl where you have carrots and tomatoes and peppers and everything has different colors. So I actually, in a way, and my son, who's just starting to be, he's 7.5, and he's just starting to like realize those differences, because when you're younger, like you don't at all, but then your friends make you realize, and you have a good mix. They're starting to like notice differences about each other.
Yeah.
And so I said to him the other day, I said, well, yeah, we all are different. You might be yellow or black or white or purple or green, whatever. But like the point is we highlight each other's differences, and we say, no, I'm different because I grew up this way, or I'm different. But that doesn't mean it's a negative thing. It's just we're different.
Embracing diversity was kind of like what I think you and I don't know, maybe we're all the same. We're mid-40s, so like, I don't know.
Early 40s.
Early 40s. All right, well, a couple of years. Yeah, you were the freshman we were throwing in the trash cans when we were
giving wedges. Yeah, we were giving wedges.
But embracing diversity and highlighting our differences was kind of the narrative that we felt pretty proud about. I remember back in the day, like that was a good thing, and everybody kind of felt like, as if this is the narrative that we're putting out in public, this is a good narrative. Like I'm going to like you could acknowledge, like, this sounds stupid to say out loud even now today, like, I have black friends, I have Mexican friends, I have Asian friends. Yeah. And like there was a sense of pride with that rather than just kind of being like one note. But now you sound like a douchebag if you acknowledge that you know people from, like, because I guess it's supposed to be like you're supposed to have friends.
You can't say that.
Yeah, it's like, no, you probably should, because let's be honest, your upbringing will be different than my upbringing, and when you dial it in even deeper, like everyone's upbringing is very different. Like when you just cast all white people as one thing, which many times it gets done in society. Yes. It's like, do you not realize how varied white culture is? And like you talk to an Irishman versus a German versus a South African versus just some dude that doesn't know his history but grew up in Mississippi. Like they're very different from each other, and so like just getting to know everybody a little bit more and letting them be who they are and not try to meld into one sauce is actually probably the best way. It never happened that way when I lived in Los Angeles, which is, Matt's from New York and I'm in LA. I think it's two pretty great examples of diversity, culture mixing in one space. And what I actually realized, and it was my thought when I moved from LA to here to the South, right? And Raleigh's like kind of the South, I guess. There's more integration and diversity integration in Raleigh than there is in Los Angeles. Okay. Like in Los Angeles, that's a black neighborhood. Yeah. That's a Korean neighborhood. That's a Mexican neighborhood. And then there's a white neighborhood over here, like a Jewish neighborhood over there. Everything is segregated in LA. Yeah. Like, and then also the jobs are segregated. No one that I worked with, I mean, I shouldn't say no one, very rare to see a black person in the kitchen in a restaurant in Los Angeles. And if they were the chef, like they were in charge. And so
there's a lot of Hispanics, Mexicans, Latinos, and
almost exclusive
in the restaurants.
Yeah, almost exclusive. But then also there's the other side of it where like there's a lot of Asian food in Los Angeles, and that's 100% Asian people. Yeah. And even within that subdivision, of course, like you wouldn't see a Chinese person working in a Korean restaurant and vice versa. Like it's all subdivided, and there is no mixing of culture, which I find to be really sad. And I actually find like that's probably why the narrative of the press and why we say things is because those things come from New York and LA. And if you're in those towns, that like you see division more than you see like in any of the kitchens that are here in Raleigh. You could see people from all over the world working together. It feels much more like a Benetton ad out here than it does.
Deep cut, right? Benetton ad.
Yeah, well, he's early 40s, so I can go that deep. But I don't know. This is my opinion. Matt, I mean, being that you were in a big, maybe New York's a little different. Maybe it's a little more melting, but does that
I think New York is different. New York is definitely more, if you grew up on the streets, whatever, as a kid and lived in New York City in one of the boroughs, chances are you had a friend that were representing every color, creed, ethnicity, and you just all played together. And you might have like lived in your quadrant, but they still.
Well, yeah, my neighborhood, San Jose in Northern California, was far more diverse. Like my neighborhood, truth be told, I actually never met a Jewish person until I moved to Los Angeles, which is odd. But replace the Jewish population down there with the Mormon population in Northern California, and I'd say that would be like who we knew that wasn't of like the religion that we grew up with, let's say. But like in my neighborhood, it was all Mexican, black, and white, and it felt normal. And then when I moved to LA, it was like, oh no, that's the black neighborhood over there. Oh, that's the Asian neighborhood over there. Like,
I think so LA is more segregated like that, which is why you have like crazy riots and stuff like that.
Yeah,
at least back in the day. All right, enough race talk. Let's get back to the James Beard Awards. Do you have a speech prepared if you win?
No, but my wife told me I should get one ready.
Yeah. Will you write one, do you think?
No.
Hey, Chat GPT, write a speech for me at the James Beard.
Did you talk to Ricky at all? Did he give you any advice about you do?
Yeah, he called me instantly.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people that reached out and called me like instantly. A lot of texts, but like Ricky Moore, Sam Hart, like just picked up the phone and called and was like, hey, man. He was like, what's up? I was like, nothing much. I was just dropping my daughter off. And I was like, nothing much, man. He was like, what the fuck you mean nothing much? He was like, this is a big deal. I was like, yeah, it is. But I didn't want to get my hopes up too much.
Yeah.
You know, like, man, like, again, I'm in Washington, North Carolina, you know. I made the semi-finalists. That's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I was like, man, I might be able to. And when we made the finals, I was like, oh, shit. It's real now.
Yeah.
You know, we got people coming all over now, you know. And it's Ricky told me a couple things.
Okay. So you're going, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going too. So
we're rolling like 15 deep.
Awesome.
Oh, good.
We're going out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going.
We'll sneak in with your crew.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, we're rolling deep, man.
But we're going. I mean, primarily like we feel compelled to go because North Carolina, it's very often represented. It's represented very well this year, and even though through that second filter from semi-finalist to finalist, we lost a few in that move over. We're still represented very well,
and on the national awards, which is the coolest thing.
Yeah, I mean Scott Crawford and Crawford Hospitality has made it through to the Hospitality Award, Outstanding Hospitality, which is national, and then of course Dean Neff of Pinpoint, not Pinpoint any longer. Seabird.
I got his hat on right now. Seabird hat.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, man, that's my guy.
Yeah, and we're so proud of our community, and like that's like Matt and I looked at each other one time like when all this happened. We're like, if we're not there highlighting these stories and like trying to connect it and get it back to the people in our state, or hopefully even just more on a national level, then what are we doing as the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast?
Yeah.
So like whatever it takes, we're going to go there. And and big shout outs. We got to give shout outs to some sponsors. Got to be NC believed in what we were saying as well. So they're helping to fund some of us getting out there. Delta Airlines is taking care of all of our flights while we're out there.
Yeah.
And then of course Cisco, just as an overarching support of our show, helps keep wind in the sails of our financial books. I hope the next time we talk is backstage like we talked with Ronnie Scott when he won, or Jose Andres when he won Humanitarian of the Year, or on the red carpet like we spoke with Ashley Christensen when she was back there. Because the last time we went
Katie
was
Button,
2018.
Yeah.
Katie Button, she's actually coming to dinner tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. We haven't seen her in forever. Tell her we say hi.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we will be there. We're actually leaving. We finish Bubbles and Brisket, which, by the way, we haven't even talked about. Bubbles and Brisket is on June 8th. It's the celebration of the greatest pairing wine in the world, champagne and sparkling wines, paired with brisket. Because brisket is the new barbecue thing, and we're bringing somebody from New York, from Bark Barbecue in Brooklyn.
Ruben Santana is coming out, who's good friends with Luis Wine, who's been on the show a few times now, from ex-Madre chef. But
yes, he's awesome.
He's such a good dude. He's opening Lagana soon. Well, he's like, I was kidding with him. He's like, dude, it's not going to happen for months. I go, yeah, but you might as well start talking about it now.
Yeah.
And his food's awesome. So we'll more on that, because I want to help him out however I can, and maybe we'll help do some like pop-ups, whatever he's doing. Kind of like Dominican food, but more like his food, which is then across like the melting pot that we were talking about of food here in the South and just in the United States as well.
We got 10 chefs minimum.
Yeah.
We got 20 minimum different sparkling wines. And I say minimum because you never know. We might just add just because.
Yeah, well, there's things brewing. By the way, tickets are on sale now, and we've already been selling a lot. Like we've kind of low key put the word out, and we've been seeing the tickets go crazy over the weekend. And I'm like texting Matt, like, have you seen how many tickets we've sold? It's like, oh shit. So that's great. Thank you so much to everybody that's bought a ticket, and thanks for those that are sharing. The proceeds go to Cure Search for children's cancer research. Check out the VIP tickets. The VIP tickets are next level this year. We decided to really focus in on this. And so not only do you get in 1 hour early, but we have a local legendary food concept providing amazing food. And it's all going to be furnished out by Trig Modern, which is a great local furniture retailer.
Nice.
So it's going to be decked out. It'll be super casual or super comfy to sit in the VIP space. You'll get in an hour early.
Nice.
So it's a cool thing.
It's amazing. So it's at Smoky Hollow, June 8th. Get your tickets now.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
Yeah,
so then I brought that all up because the next day we are flying out to Chicago and going to the James Beard Awards.
Let's go.
So
Yeah.
we can't wait. We wish you the best luck, and I look forward to hearing your speech off the cuff.
Yeah, man. I'm just going to rock and roll, man. That's how I roll, man.
I love it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for giving us your time today and just what you do for the community and help be a major leader,
I
And
appreciate it.
now you got big shoes to fill, because now everybody knows who you are. So take that challenge and run with it.
Oh, yeah, man. You ain't got no choice. It's too late to go home.
That's right.
It's too late, man.
He's filling big shoes now already. Yeah. All right. Well, everybody out there, get yourself to Washington, North Carolina. Go to the Hackney. You will eat and drink extremely merrily.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes, and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.